everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we're diving deep into the celestial drama that has everyone on the edge of their seats. The Emperor receives a shocking memorial. The rebellion in the Northern Wilderness is worse than imagined, and the infamous Red Flame Golden Lion Beast is among the rebels. This news sends the Emperor into a towering rage. Remember when Crown Prince the Hua was sent to the mortal world to subdue that very beast? It was one disaster after another. He was grievously injured, and then he nearly lost his soul battling the mermaids. The Emperor is bitter. He almost lost his soul in the battle with the mermaids. The Emperor did not expect that the Crown Prince with all his heart and soul would be so vulnerable. In order to regain the trust of the Emperor, the Hua took the initiative to ask for orders to go to the Northern Wilderness to quell the rebellion. In front of all the ministers, the Emperor sternly warned the Hua that this would be his last chance. If he failed this time, not only would he be punished, but everyone in Shiwu Palace would be implicated. Not only that, the Heavenly Emperor also used Su Su's incident as an excuse to replace all the fairies in the Hua's palace. Liansong privately told the Hua that the Heavenly Emperor might have become suspicious of him, so he replaced all the loyal people in his Shiwu Palace. Liansong was very worried and specifically told the Hua to be more careful. Li Jing personally petitioned the Hua to go to the Northern Wasteland to quell the rebellion. The Hua was concerned about whether the people of the Wing Realm would truly side with Li Jing against the former Crown Prince. Li Jing knew that simply volunteering wouldn't be enough to convince the Hua, so he calmed down and told the Hua if the Wing Realm achieved military success, the Celestial Clan would no longer be implicated in the affairs of the mermaids. The Hua thought Li Jing's words made sense, and since this was also a way for the Wing Realm to quell the rebellion, it would be even better if the Wing Lord could help. Ever since Su was confined to her room, she has been left with only Nana and herself. This life is even more unbearable than the one she had in Junji Mountain. One day, Su followed Nana's advice and went to deliver a tonic soup to Dong Hua to ease the relationship between the two. As Su walked out of the door with the soup, she heard Su Jin's mournful voice in her bronze mirror.
Su Jin cried and asked the Hua,
"You married a mortal just to avenge me, right? Who among the women in the world can resist the favor of the Emperor of Heaven? The Hua, you still love me, right? You call her Su just because there is a word Su in my name." After hearing this, Su smashed the tonic soup in panic and returned to her bedroom in a daze. Before leaving, the Hua came to Su Jin's bedroom and asked for the bronze mirror back. Su, believing the Hua had discovered something, became uneasy. After retrieving the mirror, the Hua left without saying a word to Su Jin, his expression cold and indifferent. The Hua then went to Yalanfang Hua and guiltily told Su that he would be away in the Northern Wilderness for 6 months. Su deliberately avoided the Hua, feigning indifference.
The Hua thought Su was simply angry that he was leaving her again, and misunderstandings arose between the two.
Li Jing returned to the Wing Realm. Many of the leaders complained about his plan to send troops to attack Li Yuan. Despite their opposition, Li Jing, with his unwavering authority, forced the troops to go. Desperate to save her unborn child, Juan Nu took a risk and asked a witch doctor about a herb he had heard about in China. There was also a spell in the Wing Realm that could bring sick children back to life. The witch doctor panicked and told Juan Nu that such spells were against Heaven's will and would be punished if used. However, Juan Nu knew this child was the only way to keep Li Jing alive. She was determined to give birth to this child, no matter what. The Northern Wasteland had never seen war before, so the complex terrain was very unfavorable to the Hua. Li Jing suggested that the residence of the Supreme God Baizuan was in Xiazhou, Northern Wasteland, since the Hua and Baiqian were already engaged. Why not ask the Supreme God Baizuan to help map the topography of the Northern Wasteland for the Celestial Clan? The Hua summoned Baizuan, who acted very serious and warned the Hua that he was helping him because of Zhou if he ever let Zhou down in the future. He could help him today and would definitely find a way to punish him later.
Baizuan promised the Hua that within 3 months, a map of the Northern Wasteland would be delivered to the Hua's tent.
Kian came to find Bai Zuan, and both of them were very worried about Bai Kian's whereabouts. Jian smiled and told Bai Zuan not to worry too much. He observed the celestial phenomena last night and found that not only was Bai Kian's life safe, but her red Luan star was also moving,
indicating that the little girl might be in love.
They discussed that if Bai Qian really fell in love with someone else before the Hua,
they would cancel the engagement with the Celestial Clan, so that no one would suffer. Donghua spread throughout the Heavenly Palace. 4 days, Fenggu had been following the Emperor in his nine-tailed fox form. She coveted the feeling of being cared for by the Earth Emperor, but she was also worried about whether he would be angry if he knew she had been lying to him.
Believing the Emperor to be drunk, Fengju transformed into a human form and revealed her true feelings to him.
Unable to resist, Fengju kissed him, but when she realized what she had done, she was terrified and fled. Susu's belly is getting bigger and bigger day by day. Nana uses the lanterns she made to cheer Susu up, but Susu is always worried. Fengju thinks Susu looks like her aunt, so she always comes here secretly to visit Susu and stays with her for half a day.
Susu talks to Fengju and says that she has figured out a lot of things in such a long time.
The infatuated Susu believes Su Jin's words. She thinks the Hua doesn't love her, so Susu decides that no matter whether the Hua loves her or not, they are husband and wife. Susu believes that her love will move the Hua, and one day, the Hua will also fall in love with her.
3 months later,
Bai Zuan handed the Hua a map of the Northern Wasteland and sent a message to Bai Qian,
saying that if
Bai Qian was ever wronged by the Celestial Clan,
he would visit her to seek justice. Li Jing volunteered to be the vanguard, promising to corner the rebels within 3 months.
Late at night, when everyone was asleep, Susu called out softly to the Hua in the bronze mirror.
It had been 3 years and 3 years, and she hadn't seen the Hua for half a year.
Susu tried hard to hold back her tears of longing,
and pretended to be nonchalant as she told the Hua that the baby in her belly had been very fussy lately. But she didn't want the baby to come out so soon, as she was afraid that the Hua, as a father, wouldn't be able to personally witness the birth of the baby. When the Hua heard that Susu endured humiliation and still had to comfort him, he was already in tears.
Li Jing detonates a flash flood, forcing Li Yuan's rebels into a corner and plunging all the creatures of the Wing Realm into a devastating flood.
The Celestial Clan resents Li Jing's actions, and the Yue splits his forces into 5 groups. One responsible for rescuing the victims, and the other 4 for holding off the fleeing army.
Li Jing and Li Yuan finally clash, and Yanzi blocks Li Jing's blade.
The Golden Lion suddenly appears to protect Yancy, but the Golden Lion ultimately succumbs to Li Yuan's blade.
Li Yuan is ultimately defeated by Li Jing,
and the Northern Wilderness's chaos is finally pacified. The Hua and his companions return victorious. Upon hearing the news that the Hua had returned to the palace, Su Jin immediately sent someone to send a letter to Susu, saying that the Heavenly Emperor had granted permission for the women of the Heavenly Palace to go to the Lotus Pond to appreciate the flowers. He had specially released Susu's house arrest and allowed her to go. Unexpectedly, when Susu arrived at the Lotus Pond, she found Su Jin alone.
Su Jin tricked Susu onto the Juxian terrace.
Nana saw that something was wrong and was stopped from going forward, so she had no choice but to run to the Hua for help. Su Jin stood on the Juxian terrace and smiled coldly at Susu. Did you know? The Heavenly Emperor wants to give me to the Hua as his wife. Susu never understood the rules and tricks of these immortals. She only felt a surge of blood in her chest and abdomen, not knowing whether it was anger or confusion. Su Jin still smiled reservedly and said, "The Hua and I are in love. This 9 heavens is not the place for a mortal like you to stay. After giving birth to the child, you can jump from here and return to your mortal world." Susu didn't know if she could really return to Junji Mountain by jumping, and asked Su Jin in a daze, "Did the Hua ask me to go back? I am his wife, so of course I have to follow him." At this time, the Hua and the leaders rushed to the Jux. Su Jin seized the opportunity. pretended to have an argument with Susu, turned around and jumped into the Juxiantai, pretending to be pushed down by Susu. When the Hua stepped forward, it was too late. Su Jin's eyes were injured after all. Susu had not yet reacted to what happened. When she was about to defend herself, the Hua looked at Susu coldly, with a rage brewing in his eyes. Susu panicked and tried to explain to the Hua over and over again in a disorganized manner. The Hua was furious, but this anger was not directed at Susu. Instead, he saw with his own eyes that Su Jin pretended to argue with Susu and jumped into the Juxiantai by herself. However, in front of all the leaders, he had no way to defend himself. The Hua could only pick up Su Jin and hurriedly leave the Emperor of Heaven, and everyone demanded that Susu be severely punished in order to save Susu's life. The Hua asked the Emperor if he could give Susu Sen 3 years of thunder punishment to calm the public anger. 3 years of thunder punishment was already a severe punishment in the Heavenly Palace, and Susu was just a mortal. It could almost take her life. And with a pair of eyes added to it, everyone no longer had any objections.
The Hua told the Emperor of Heaven that Susu had been kind to him and that she had the blood of the celestial clan in her belly.
So he was willing to suffer the 3 years of thunder punishment for Susu. With a gloomy expression, came before Susu and told her that he was going to take out her eyes. Susu lost her composure and hysterically asked the Hua, "I didn't push her. Why do you want my eyes? Why? Why?" The Hua's expression was sad and he couldn't stop crying. He held Susu's hand and could only say over and over again, "I will marry you. I will marry you. I will be your eyes."
The Hua endured the grief in his heart and finally took out Susu's eyes. Susu's eyes were gouged out.
The Hua went to the thunder platform for Susu and was tortured by thunder for 3 years, with 49 thunder strikes every day. Although it would not harm his life, every time a thunder struck his body, it was like his soul being torn apart in an instant. However, no matter how painful the thunder punishment was, it was not even 1/10 as painful as the guilt and grief the Hua felt in his heart for not being able to protect Susu. After the Hua was struck by thunder, he anxiously asked Lian Song if he was qualified to be awarded the Crown Prince's seal after going through the chaos of the Northern Wilderness War. Lian Song thought about it and told the Hua with certainty that he already had a record of fighting against the mermaids and the Northern Wilderness Rebellion, and was fully qualified to be awarded the Crown Prince's seal. However, to be awarded the Crown Prince's seal, one would have to endure the great cause of 6 heavenly thunders and 7 sacred fires. The Hua had been seriously injured since the Battle of Shanghai and had not yet recovered. So why was he so anxious now? The Hua's eyes were firm and his words were stern. He told Lian Song, "I thought that if I pretended not to care and not take it seriously, I could get Susu to give birth safely. But now I understand that no matter what I do, the Heavenly Emperor will take Susu's life. So, I want to become the Crown Prince. I want to announce to the world that I will canonize Susu as my concubine." Su Jin came to Susu and proudly showed off to her how well she could use her eyes. Su Jin even told Su arrogantly that the Hua had stayed by her bed for a whole day and night on the day she had her eyes transplanted. Every word Su Jin said was like the sharpest knife, cutting into Suzu's heart, bit by bit. Susu suddenly realized that this was a love-hate relationship between the two of them, and she was just a passerby who was confusedly dragged into it. Fenggu secretly visited Susu at Yilanfenghua and happened to see Su Jin acting arrogantly in front of her. Furious, Fenggu bit Su Jin as she was leaving the gates. Angered by the bite, Su Jin swung her arm, severely injuring Fenggu. Su Jin, realizing the fox had escaped from Yilanfenghua and believing it to be Susu's pet, was furious and ordered the fox to be beaten to death. Dong Hua arrived and not only rescued Fengju but also severely punished Su, forcing her to kneel outside Yilanfenghua for an hour. Before leaving, Dong Hua advised Su Jin to stay away from the people and foxes of his Taken palace. Su Jin dared not disobey the emperor's orders, and despite the humiliation she felt, she endured it. The heavenly emperor came to Emperor Dong Hua with a happy look on his face, to discuss something. It turned out that the ministers had submitted a petition requesting that the Hua be formally appointed as the crown prince. Dong Hua congratulated the heavenly emperor repeatedly. The crown prince he had trained with great effort had finally won the hearts of the people of the world. Dong Hua leisurely told the heavenly emperor that he could finally hand over this important responsibility to the Hua and learn from himself to be a leisurely immortal.
The Emperor of Heaven announced that he had decided to officially hold the ceremony of enthroning the
Hua as the crown prince on the 8th day of next month. Everyone congratulated the Hua. If it were in the past, the Hua would not have had any mood swings because of the issue of enthroning the crown prince. But now the identity of the crown prince means something different to the Hua. Only by becoming the crown prince can he truly protect Susu and stay with Susu forever. Whenever the Hua thought of this, although his face was still indifferent as usual, he always felt an irrepressible joy in his heart. Susu was really bored staying in Yalan Fanghua all day long, so Nana helped Susu to walk beside the lotus pond. Susu smelled the fragrance of the lotus, and her long-lasting boredom was more or less comforted. Unexpectedly, a little palace maid came to tell Susu that the Emperor of Heaven had specifically instructed not to let her leave Yalan. Susu knew that she had no weight at all in the 9 heavens, and she felt sad. Susu has been particularly sleepy these past few days. The Hua comes to visit her and excitedly tells her that he will soon be crown prince, and that they can finally live the life they dreamed of. Susu no longer wants
To believe the Hua's promises and deliberately avoids him.
using her sleepiness as an excuse to avoid his closeness. The Hua, a man of few words, doesn't know how to explain these things to Susu. He thinks that once he becomes crowned prince and crowns Susu, perhaps everything will be better. Before leaving, the Hua privately instructs Nana that when he is crowned crown prince, he will be struck by a thunderbolt. If Susu hears thunder, she shouldn't tell her the truth, as he's afraid she worry. Li Yuan was locked up in the dungeon by Li Jing. Li Yuan hated Li Jing so much. Li Jing told Li Yuan in a victorious manner that he should not think that Qing Kang valued him as the eldest son. He was just a blood parasite raised by Qing. It turned out that no matter who died, Li Jing, Li Yuan, or Yanxi, Qing Kang's skills would increase. Li Yuan couldn't believe it. Yanxi came to find Li Jing. She was disheartened by the fight between her elder and second brothers. She asked Li Jing to let her leave the Wing Realm and go to the mortal world. Li Jing tried to keep Yanxi, but Yanxi was determined to leave. Li Jing felt very sad. He only left one sentence for Yanxi. No matter where she went, she must be safe. Yanxi looked at the back of her second brother, feeling reluctant, but she had to go. Li Jing sent people to protect Yanxi secretly. Even though he and Yanxi had half-mothers, in Li Jing's heart, Yanxi was his own sister. In this great Zimming palace, hypocrisy and ugliness were everywhere. Li Jing had been accustomed to the warmth and coldness of human nature since he was a child. Only, this sister was the only relative in his heart. Yanxi's departure made Li Jing feel that there was no more family affection in this great Zimming palace. Finally, the day arrived when the crown prince was awarded the crown prince's seal. Kings from all over the world came to pay their respects. Li Jing met Su Jin, who was delivering clothes to Empress Li. Li Jing wanted to inquire about Susu's recent situation. But the maid beside Su Jin told him that Susu had been severely punished by the Emperor of Heaven for causing Su Jin to lose her eyes. Li Jing couldn't help but feel uneasy for Susu. The Hua was granted the crown princess seal and was to endure the mighty power of heavenly thunder. Each strike from the heavens felt as if it were ripping his body apart. Susu, hearing the thunder outside, felt a wave of panic. Nana hurried in, having heard from the fairies of Shi. Palisette, the celestial emperor had already decreed that after the Hua was enthroned as crown prince, he would grant Su Jin, the celestial consort, to the Hua as his concubine. Su Jin and Susu were already at odds, and this would only further embarrass her. Susu wasn't surprised at all. Muttering to herself that she had nothing to do with this beautiful woman, Susu suddenly felt unbearable abdominal pain, fearing she was about to give birth, and Nana hurried to find Crown Prince the Hua. Juan Nu gave birth to a sick baby prematurely, leaving Li Jing in despair. He remembered what he had told Xian before. In ancient times, someone had a bad karma that caused them to give birth to 3 sick babies in a row. Now, he couldn't blame anyone else. Perhaps this was his own karma.
The Hua was struck by a thunderbolt.
In front of the ministers, he pretended to be fine until he was alone. He could no longer bear it and knelt down, spitting blood. Even so, the Hua continued to go to the temple every day to endure the 3-year thunderbolt punishment. When Nana went to find the Hua was being punished by thunder. Nana was stopped outside the Hua's bedroom and had to kneel down and beg the fairies to inform the Hua. Liansong happened to pass by here and knew that Susu was about to give birth. Liansong asked Nana to take him to embrace Feng Hua first. Susu finally gave birth to a prince. The Hua also hurried over and heard the baby's first cry, crying with joy. The Hua brought the child to show Susu, but Susu ignored him. She knew that she would not stay in the 9 heavens anymore. The child was a little prince, and the people in the heavenly palace would not make things difficult for him. To freedom. Returning to Genji Mountain is the only thought that consumes her. She must escape this nightmare, even if it means taking the ultimate leap of faith. Thank you so much for watching. What a heartbreaking turn of events. What do you think Susu will do next? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this recap, please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next update. We'll see you in the next video.